Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of God Built This Podcast. I'm your host Maxine. We're on episode 129. Hello, did you miss me? I missed you. Oh wow, I feel like it's been a while, but it's only been a week. And I gave you guys 2 hours the last episode. It wasn't planned for it to be as long as it was. When I finished recording, the thing I do when I record, I typically don't have it on the timer where it shows the actual time. I have it where it says the other number. It says something about bar and beat. Purposely, I do that purposely because I don't want to restrict myself. Oh, it's 30. Like, I just want to flow with it. So when I was flowing, clearly in the last episode, I just flowed. And when I finally wrapped up and I looked at the time, the actual time, and it said 2 hours and four minutes, I believe, I was shocked. So hopefully that 2 hours held you guys over, because we did not have a new episode according to schedule. And I did make that clear that it may or may not have happened. And I'm glad I took a quick summer break. That was nice to just take a little break. And I was on a vacation, so that was a really nice time. And I just really got to just be present and be in the moment. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed that episode. I thought about the episode and I was thinking to myself, like, okay, should I give a disclaimer or should I even explain myself afterwards? I think... Okay, I'll do a little bit of it, but what I do want to stamp is that I want to normalize more authentic emotion, however raw that is. And when I was recording that episode came from a raw emotional space that I was in, and I recorded it at sunrise actually, and I just felt called to just go ahead and record for the podcast. And I'm glad that I did, but I think sometimes when I let such raw emotion out, I like, as soon as I was done recording, I was remorseful, like, oh my gosh, maybe I was too emotional, maybe I was being dramatic or whatever it was, but I was being honest. It was my transparency. And since the fruition of this podcast, honesty, transparency, all of that was and is still the focus point. It's the encouragement that I want us all to live. I want us to move in transparency, and me just recording my feelings and letting it flow is my way of holding myself accountable and just being raw and honest. So I hope that it encouraged anyone to just be honest with ourselves. Sometimes we have our down times and sometimes we're not down and we're good and we're fine. But emotions are sometimes a roller coaster ride, and it's totally fine. Nothing is wrong. Like, I don't know. I don't want to say I'm not crazy. I'm not crazy, but like, we sometimes could think that we are crazy for having emotions, period. Because I think sometimes when we grow up in an environment or in a household that does not encourage emotions or does not encourage expressing emotions, it's difficult to now be an adult and navigate through your emotions and doing it in a way that's unapologetic and that's not allowing for shame to come in. Like, after I recorded, I was feeling a level of shame or this just a stigma around emotions, and I want to continue to break that. It's so hard unlearning, and I typically, when I record, I don't remember it anymore. Like, I release and I let it go. And as soon as I let go anything, I let it go and I move forward. And that's for any thought, relationship, emotion, whatever it is. And that's how it is when I record every episode. I draft what I want to discuss, I record, and I move on. I let it go. So I don't really remember what I said. To wrap it all up, I don't remember what I said. Damn, I really spoke for 2 hours. But no, I remember talking about pretty privilege, my experience with that, and it being triggered, that conversation being triggered because of Love Island. And we're going to talk about that again on a different angle, actually. But I don't want to rehash what I already talked about in a previous episode. Just go ahead and check that out. That was 2 hours for your head top. But Overall, I think when we are now adults, we are in a space where unlearning seems to be the theme. And that brings me to a recent moment I had with friends of mine, some close girlfriends of mine who I'm so glad that we're friends. It is funny because I remember, it's funny how I said I don't really want to bring up what I already talked about in a previous episode, but it's necessary for this part of this episode. Just because in the last episode, I talked about how sometimes in friendships, I feel like maybe I'm not heard, or maybe I'm not seen, or maybe I'm not as good of a friend as I could be, or whatever. I forgot what exactly I said, and I didn't go back to it. Once I release an episode. I don't really go back to it. But anyway, I was having a moment with my friends. We was in celebration of a good friend of a good friend of ours who was celebrating her birthday, and we had an emotional moment. And when I mean emotional, tears flowed through our eyes because we were moving on from a little rough patch that we experienced in our friendship. And I don't want to get into details about it, but what I realized is that as much as I say on the podcast, and I'm so, I feel like I'm fake sometimes, because as much as I say on the podcast, and even to myself when I'm just talking, I would say, I want deep conversations. I want to talk deep. I want to go there. I don't want to have superficial conversation. I don't want to just talk about celebrities, or, I really want to go. Let's talk about childhood trauma, shit like that. It sounds good, right? It sounds ideal. Like, wow, like, woo, woo, like girl power, whatever it is. But I make it seem like I'm really down for that. But when I'm in the moment, when I'm in the trenches, a deep conversation is actually happening right now, I get so nervous. I get so cringy. I get so uneasy. We had a conversation, me and my friend had a conversation, and I was expressing hurt feelings and she was expressing hurt feelings, and I knew I had to share my feelings, but I felt so uncomfortable doing so. And I have a tendency, when I talk from the heart, really from a heart place, if I'm not talking from humor, because everything's a joke to me, right? I can find a joke into anything, and that's fine. When I'm talking from a place of lightheartedness, I can make eye contact, I could smile to your face, and I could really just be really present with you. But when I'm coming from my heart, and not to say my jokes aren't coming from my heart, but when I'm coming from a real vulnerable place, I don't have the strength, or I haven't found the strength yet, to stick with my eye contact just as I would when I'm telling a joke, just as I would when I'm talking about something lighthearted. I have a tendency of looking away, or making quick eye contact and being too nervous to stick with it. So I turn my eyes around, or I look down on the paper, or I check my phone, or I find some reason to break the seal. And I realized this is something that I need to work on for sure, because I don't want to be afraid of vulnerable conversations. As much as I say I want to be comfortable with having deeper conversations, I really have to put my mouth out there. I really have to push through it. And what I appreciate with what my friend said, after we worked through our emotions and we were present with each other, and both of us cried, and it was a real genuine, beautiful moment. When we were heading out and going our separate ways and going back home, we hugged goodbye, and we hugged each other, and she said to me, thank you for working through your feelings thank you for working your feelings out with me. Thank you for allowing for basically recognizing that, hey, it was a work that we did. It was an effort that we made to work through and navigate through our feelings, and thank you for doing that. Thank you for being present and doing that. And I thought to myself, how she was saying that, I'm like, oh wow, yeah, we did, we worked through it. It wasn't just a quick, okay, I'm crying, but I'm over it. No. We cried, and we worked through it. We heard each other. We said what we said. We were present and we stood fast in our conversation and we worked through it. And that is what would scare me typically when I know that that's on the horizon, when I know a conversation that might be uncomfortable is coming up. I would get so afraid of going there. But in this moment, I finally gave myself enough courage to just go there and be present. And I appreciate that she said at the end, thank you for working through your feelings with me. Because I realized, like, wow, it is a work. You know, it is a job. It is an effort. It is intentional to work through your feelings. It's so funny. Maybe I'm just fake as fuck, but like, and I'm saying that because I would say I hate small talk, right? Like, oh, I hate small talk. But as much as I hate small talk, I know every small talk language there is. How's your day? I'm good. You know, life is good. Can't complain. I know all of that language for small talk and I keep it walking, right? But when it comes down to, no, how are you doing? Oh, wait, you don't want to play the small talk game anymore? Oh, I'm supposed to be present and really answer how am I doing? So I'm sitting, and that was just an example, but like I'm sitting in that realization that, oh wait, I have a real problem with just being vulnerable and being present with friends. And sometimes that could lead into a romantic setting as well. But like, I think ultimately in friendships, in just plain platonic girlfriends type of friendships, I am really uncomfortable with being vulnerable. It's funny because like with my man, I'm not like that to say. Like I feel like there's more leeway to be vulnerable, and it's kind of a cute moment too. It's like, oh, we're being vulnerable, and then we'll fuck after. But but typically with the platonic friend, we're not fucking, right? We're not going there. No, but I gotta bring sex into it. It's a joke. No, anyway. But with a platonic friend, a specific platonic friend, a girlfriend, a female friend in my life, I have a hard time being vulnerable with. And I realize it comes from experiences I've had with female friends who weren't great friends, who were shitty friends towards me, who were intentionally leaving me out or making me feel like the outcast, and just we're not good friends. And I referenced this ex friend of mine who I talked about on a long time ago episode, and how that friendship really rocked me. Like it really, and I'm referring to the episode I'm Rich Bitch. I don't know which episode number that is, because when I release, but that's the title of the episode. And just to give a quick synopsis, that friendship I had with that woman, I was really close with her. Like we were, seemingly, I think we were close, I guess. I feel like sometimes when I think about an ending of a friendship, I feel like, was that friendship ever even real? Like, did I imagine it? Were we really friends? Does this friendship happen? I think about every moment, like, oh, I guess it wasn't real. Suddenly, just like it wasn't real. I remember we had a mutual friend, and when me and that friend ended our friendship, well, when I ended it and it just fell apart, I spoke to our mutual friend and I asked her, I'm like, I said to her, like, I don't even think our friendship was real. We probably never really were friends. And she's like, no, Maxine, y'all were friends. She's like trying to remind me of different moments that would express actual friendship. And I say to myself, like, I don't think we were friends, because if we were friends, it would have never turned out this way, right? It would have never led me to even question if we were friends or not. So my conclusion is, for us to not be friends anymore, and for us to have had that fallout, then we were never friends to begin with. That's how I see it in my head. So I deny every friendship moment that we had. And it's like I was gaslit the whole time, basically. So I think about just past friendships I've had and how much they've hurt me. Like I've just been through some shitty girlfriends in my life, and just people who were just purely seasonal that I thought were longer than a season. I thought they were lifetime friendships, and they turned out to not be. And it just really closed me in a way that made me realize, okay, I'm very closed off. And as much as I want a quality friendship with a woman, with girlfriends, I am so afraid of it. I'm so afraid of having one, because what if it doesn't turn out the way I want it to turn out? So this brings me back to the last episode of this podcast, thinking about how fear has halted me. Fear has prevented me from even allowing my current girlfriends to move forward into a friendship that is deeper, to a friendship that is more vulnerable and more honest and rich. And it just comes from this place of fear because of what I've been through in my shitty past girlfriends' friendship history. So the moment that I had with my friend recently, I felt very enlightened. Like, okay, wow, okay, this is a problem or something that I need to work on. I need to be comfortable in my vulnerability, specifically when it comes with girlfriends, and I need to advocate and speak up for myself. I need to be present when someone else is being emotional. I need to allow myself to be emotional because I'm afraid of being emotional, and I need to do all of these things and be okay with it, and it's okay. So I say all these things, how I want a deep friendship, I want real friends, I want these things, and it's like, oh, they're right in front of you. Like, these real friends are right in front of you, but I've been the problem, really. Like, I've been the one holding myself back from allowing it to go deeper because of fear. So I'm just really fucked up. No, but I think sometimes we could just get in our own way. And in my own self-realization and self-awareness, I'm realizing, okay, this is the areas where I could work on, and where I could just be a better person in general, and that could manifest in my friendships. So just I would say one more thing. What was I gonna say? But yeah, basically, yeah, I just, like, real friends are right in front of you, and I'm hoping what I'm saying is encouraging to somebody, because I think sometimes, like, for me, like, I would get in a rut in thinking that I don't have anybody in my life, no one's there, I'm just alone, blah blah blah, when really there are many people in my life. Like, when I sit back and realize, well, no, I have people in my life who love, who care about me, who are present, who are emotionally, physically supportive, in any way possible that they can be supportive, who can be a deeper friend towards me, but I'm not allowing it. Like, I'm the one who has not allowed for that door to be fully open. It's creaked open, but it's not ajar. And I need the door to be ajar. And it's only not ajar because of me. It's not because of what someone currently in my life as friends are doing. Is because I'm not putting myself out there as much as I could. So here on out, I'm going to be more intentional and try to just be present, to allow myself to be vulnerable and present whenever and every time I can be, whenever the opportunity arises, or whenever I could take the opportunity. So that was just an aha moment. Like, wow, I say a lot of, like, a lot of these wise things, like, oh, I want deep, all these, like, ideal type of relationships I want in my life, and not realizing, oh, I'm not allowing myself to experience that because I'm not allowing myself to experience that. So, hopefully that is somewhat encouraging to somebody, because sometimes the finger could just be pointed right back at you, rather than it being pointed to every other person. Think about, okay, well, how am I seeing things? Am I seeing things from a jaded perspective, Or am I seeing things from a glass half full perspective? And don't get me wrong, there are shitty people out there who are not good friends, but the friends who I currently have now are not that, right? They're not shitty at all. They're not at all people who I should be afraid of getting close with, when they have shown me there's evidence of them being good friends to me. So this fear is false evidence appearing real, okay? Fear is false evidence appearing real. And I have to consistently say to myself, Silencio, Bruno. Who got that reference? Silencio, Bruno. Who got the reference? I'm giving you 5 seconds. From Luca. Anyone watch that movie? So good, but reptilians are real, and Hillary Clinton. Let me not. No, but let's move forward. Let's talk about Love Island. First of all, how the tables have changed. Okay, or turned. Is that the saying? How the tables have turned. How the tables have flipped. Whatever you want to say, things are different now. Cash has options, and I am here for it. And I'm also, not to be a little petty, but I'm also here for what's her name? What's the other girl name? Cash and Trina. I'm also here for Trina not being picked, and just her experiencing the emotions that Cash felt earlier on in this season. So it was a quick synopsis. Cash is now a hot commodity. She is now seen as someone who Cinco cannot not be with. And Cinco has finally realized that his connection and his dynamic with Cash is much stronger than it is with Trina. And he wants to focus his energy towards Cash, rather than sticking it out with Trina just because he doesn't want her hurt. Can we just talk about that for a second? Because I think oftentimes people, or just men in general, men have a way of staying in relationships just because they don't want to hurt the person. And I just want to understand why. I noticed that to be a trend ever since I was a kid. Ever since I was in 7th grade, I remember relationships around me. I would see guys with their little girlfriends, their little Cape Verdean girlfriends, because like I say all the time, I grew up around a lot of Cape Verdeans back home in Boston, in the Dorchester area. And Cape Verdeans were the girls, the hot girls. So a lot of my Haitian male classmates were, and a few Black American classmates as well. The Black males will date the Cape Verdean girls. So as the Haitian males in my class. And I remember there was one couple in my 7th grade, 8th grade, those 2 years, this guy, he was in a relationship with this girl, Cape Verdean girl, he's Haitian guy, and they were just so toxic. They were toxic before toxic was a word. It's so funny how words are now, like there are some words that are trendy now when toxic was never a thing to be used in description of a relationship. Toxic is used for spoiled stuff, but now it's used in regards of relationship. But they were toxic before toxic became a word. And it was 7th, 8th grade. It was 7th grade in particular. And I would see them fight all the time. I would hear him complain about her. And someone asked him, why don't you just move on? Like, why don't you just date this other girl? Why don't you just, there's other girls that you could date. And he's like, yeah, I just can't break up with her. I just don't want to hurt her. Or I don't want to break up with the girl. I want her to break up with me. And I just think at this point, how long do you want to be a coward? Hello? Is the mic on? I just feel like at this point, how long do you want to be a coward? How long do you My nose is itchy right now. I don't know why. My allergies always kick in whenever I'm recording. It's so weird. But I say that with love because I think sometimes we get so like we are cowards sometimes, right? Like we become punks to other people. We become punks to, and this seventh grader was a punk, was a whole coward, and he would be like this, like he was a big guy, has in like his stature. He wasn't like big, has in weight, but like he was tall. He was muscular. He was handsome young man in seventh grade. But he was afraid of breaking up with her. A lot of the guys that I grew up with always wanted to have their girlfriends break up with them rather than being the man and being like, hey, look, I'm done, or however you want to say it. So I think about like, okay, it must be a man thing, because I'm seeing that to be a thing still. Like, it's not just something I noticed in my childhood, but it's throughout my years of living. Undergrad, high school, grad school, work life, everything. I'm seeing a lot of guys just saying the same thing, or, well, she could break up with me, or even a show that I'm watching on reality TV on the OWN network. This, y'all, let me move on. But basically, I just don't get it. I don't get it. It's like, damn. And they would do, and I noticed, okay, with that guy, that seventh grader, he would do everything to piss her off purposely. Like, he would find reasons to argue with her. He'll give her the silent treatment. He'll talk to other girls in front of her. And, you know, seventh grade, you talk to a girl, say hello, it's a fight. Now it still is a fight. No, but ultimately he would push her to break up with him. And I think she actually did. I think she actually got fed up and broke up with him, broke it off, and dated this other guy like a day later. That's how it was in middle school. But that's how it ended. She finally broke it off with him after weeks of him pushing her to do so. And I just think to myself, like, all of this could have been done earlier. You know, like, you didn't have to extend it as long as you did. Like, you didn't have to wait until I still remember that nigga. What's his name? Oh, I'm not gonna say his name, but I remember his name now. Oh my gosh, I remember his name now, and it's coming back to me more because I remember everything. I remember, okay, so years later from seventh grade, I'm in undergrad. And I don't know how he found me on social media. He found me on Facebook, and he's DMing me. And mind you, I remember when I was in seventh grade, while he was in this relationship with this girl, I just like, oh, he's cute, he's cool, he seems like a funny guy. But like, I wasn't interested in him like that. He just was a cute guy. Like I said, he had a nice stature to him. He was whatever. I was good friends with his cousin, and I would always kind of see him as like a third date type of dude in my life at that time. But anyway, I remember in undergrad, he reached out to me, he DM'd me, and was like, oh, I see you doing your thing. And like he's seeing me grown, right? Obviously, we grew up, and he's now showing interest in me years later. I'm like, okay, let me not say his name, but like, okay, nigga, bye. Where were you in seventh grade? right? I hate that. When you had a crush on somebody years ago, and then now years later, they want to show up and be like, hi, you know, you're so cute now, or you're so fine. It's like, but where were you? Okay, this goes back to the last episode, y'all. Everything is coming back full force. But seriously, don't come back into my life talking about how you thought I was so cute or whatever growing up. But where was that energy then? Let's go back in time so we could replay this moment. Okay? Because I had a huge crush on you, but I kept it to myself. But anyway, why did I bring that up? I brought that up because Trina and Cinco from Love Island. Cinco was in this relationship, and he was cowardly. I feel like he was a coward and how he handled it, as far as him saying behind Trina's back that he doesn't know what he wants. And then saying to the guys, and even to Cash, he was saying, I know that I have a stronger connection with you, and you're someone, basically, and I'm just paraphrasing, but he was saying to Cash, basically, he wants her, and he chooses her now, and he realized that he should have chosen her from the beginning, and he should have never chose Trina, basically showing remorse for choosing Trina instead of Cash from the beginning. And I'm thinking to myself, if that's not some coward shit, then I don't know what is. I don't know what. I really hate it should have been you all along type of nigga. It should have been me. Oh, I was telling you that. Yeah, it should have been me. Oh, like, what are we talking about? Like, great, you come to that realization, but when he came to that realization, he still was hesitant upon actually putting that action into motion. Like, okay, well, I realized that it should have been Trina, or excuse me, it should have been Cash all along. And sure, Trina, you don't want to hurt her. I get it. But you also want to be out. And you staying in a relationship with someone who is not fulfilling to you just because, you don't want to hurt her, is still hurting her. So it still ended up poorly on his part. I feel like ultimately there is no way, there's no, what is it? Like, protective way you can end a relationship, especially when both parties are not in agreement of it and one party want to actually continue and make it work. But at the end of the day, it takes two, right? It takes two people to be present and to be committed into the relationship. So if you are someone who are not interested in being present and being in that relationship, do that person the favor and give them the opportunity to start moving forward into their life, rather than continuing to have these false hopes or whatever. I just feel like regardless, she's gonna be hurt. Rather be hurt earlier on than later on. Does that make sense? Just so she can move on. And I'm saying this in the context of this show, because Trina said, and in the context of her life, but like in the context of the show, Trina said how what she say? How she feels like Cinco robbed her of this experience, that she does not have a fruitful experience in Love Island because Cinco has taken up all her time. And though I think that statement is a little dramatic, I feel like I understand what she's saying, because she was so fixated on him that she was closed off to other guys. But let's be very honest here. A lot of the guys on the show are not checking for black women. Hello? Is the mic on? A lot of the guys are not checking for black women. They're checking for these Latinas. They're checking for this blonde hair, blue eyes, but there's a lot of Latinas on the show, so they're checking for them most of the time, okay? And thankfully, Charlie came around. Shout out to Charlie, who's here for Cash, and he seems like a really genuine guy. He's from Houston, Texas. Hello? But that's great. But my thing is, we need 3 more Charlies. We need 4 more guys at least on the show who are specifically interested in black women. Like, why aren't we having more of those? And can we get Olivia a man? Like, why is Olivia on the show still talking about suddenly she's feeling feelings for Corey? Since when? Okay, you have feelings for Corey? Okay, cool, thanks. Girl, it's just I just want to know who's Boo Boo the Fool and when can I meet him or her. But anyway, Cash has options now, and I'm so happy for her. I really like Charlie. I do wonder, though, I feel like with Cash, she is someone who, at least from what she has shown, she rushes into things a little, and maybe I'm speaking to myself, but no, but and it is a show that encourages basically kissing someone as soon as you meet them for a kissing challenge. So that's also the exception to the rule. But I think ultimately she's so damn open. Like, she'll lap up on niggas. Well, specifically with Charlie. I get it, you like him, but I felt like she was so quick to open up to him, and I don't know if I like that. And I'm trying to think about my dating experience. I'm open as far as, like, I talk about, like, I don't know, like, I'm present in my emotions when it comes to previous guys I've met and been in romantic confines with. I've allowed myself to just be present just because I'm comfortable with myself. So, like, that's easy for me. But as far as it being consistent in the past, I haven't allowed it to be because of fear. But I feel like with Cash, there's this instant, I'm gonna focus on you and be deep in you. I'm gonna open my legs to you. Not to say she's fucking these guys, but like, she's literally just opening her leg to them. Like, there was a scene when she's like cradling Charlie, and they're on the floor, and she's making out with him. Her butt's poking out. Her body is banging. Hello? But her butt's hanging out, and she's cradling him. And I just feel like certain positions are too much for new niggas. You know, like, I'm thinking about, like, niggas from my past. I didn't do certain positions. Like, I'm not cradling you week 1. Week 3, maybe. But week 1? But, you know, like, I think ultimately, let's get there when we get there. But it feels like as soon as Cash meets these niggas, she's cradling them. She's, like, leaned in too much. And I don't like that. It really comes off desperate. And it's not to shoot Cash down, because I am Team Cash. But in being Team Cash, I think she still has some areas that she could work on. And I think those are one of those areas. She needs to just allow niggas to just chase after her. I think she's too open too quickly. And thankfully, Charlie, he seems to be genuine, and I really hope he is. So with him, sure, it seems to be a little deserving because he's a great guy from what it looks like. But ultimately, I think I want Charlie to be more persistent or more, and I want him to take the initiative more, and I don't see him doing that. Maybe that's just his personality, or it could just simply be because Cash is doing it already because she's doing these extra shits. Like, she doesn't have to cradle the nigga too quick, like, already. She doesn't have to just be all up on him. Like, I want her to kind of back it up. Maybe I'm just talking mad shit because I've had fucking one night stand. So I'm talking about you can't cradle a nigga week 1. I fucked a nigga week 1. What are we talking about? Okay, fine. I'm just talking shit. But I want more for Cash. That's all I'm saying. I just want more for Cash. I just be checking myself. Like, okay, well, maybe that's something, pot calling the color black. But I want more for her. Ultimately, I want more for her, and I want Charlie to really step it up some more. I think he's a little too reserved. But maybe he's her yin to her yang. As loud and as charismatic as Cash is, I think Charlie is someone who could help just kind of tame her a little, respectfully. I'm saying that respectfully. I understand, tame sounds kind of negative, but you need someone to kind of calm you down. I used to say, I want my man to be just as energetic as me, just as loud as me, blah, blah, blah. And I really don't. And I'm so thankful I don't have that. I'm so thankful Freckles Bay is not it's not like me in that regard. Like, we have a lot of similarities, but as far as, like, I don't want my nigga to be rah rah rah. too much. Like, I don't want you to be just as loud as me. I do want you to be calm. Calm down. Because ultimately, I want myself to be calm when I'm trying to be calm. And if I'm being met with an aggressive voice as well as my own voice, it's not going to work out. So I'm grateful that freckle-based voice is already calming. Like, okay, I'll go to sleep now. But I think ultimately with Cash, she needs to just sit back a little. I think she makes too much of the first move. And, you know, I'm just saying this because I see a lot of myself in her as far as like in my previous relationships with niggas. Like, I either made the first move quickly and I regretted it. Like, oh man, maybe I shouldn't have had sex with him first night, you know, or maybe maybe he should have eaten me out that first night. But you know, it happened. So I think ultimately, with Cash, she needs to just relax a little. Let Charlie make the moves first. Let him be cute and romantic. And I haven't seen that yet. There's one episode I do need to watch, so I'm gonna watch that in a moment. So hopefully in this episode I see Charlie being more of an initiative type of guy. Same thing with Cinco though, because like, okay, so Cinco finally revealed to Trina, I'm not that interested in you, and there's a strong connection with Cash, and of course Trina was upset, I understand, but girl, you said you felt it already, so why were you still trying to hold on to someone who was not really as into you as you are to him? But she so she felt hurt, of course. But with Cinco, I noticed to be the same thing with him as far as it is with Charlie. Cinco is not someone who fights for his lady, at least as of yet, right? I don't see him being aggressive. I don't see him being this, you know, this nigga. Like, fight for your woman, you know, let her know that you're interested, or even just doing it in a way that is not like a public show. Like, I don't need you to, like, I don't like big gestures. I think that's for everyone else, rather it just being for me. I think it's just like some fake shit, honestly. I wouldn't want that. I always say when I get proposed to, I want my man to just do it, and it's just me and him. Like, I don't want, and maybe family could like pop out, you know, from the gardens, and oh my gosh, my mom's here, you know, that's cute. But ultimately, I want you and I to have this moment. I don't want it to be in the middle of Central Square Park. I don't want it to be in front of family either. Like, we're at a dinner table and it just makes me, I don't like being on the spotlight too much, really. And that just makes it obviously on the spotlight. So I would rather it just be a one-on-one thing. And okay, cool, you want to invite family afterwards and then we celebrate, that's great, but let it be a moment between me and you. That's it. That's just so cringy to me when I would see these public proposals. And maybe that's what they wanted, right? Maybe that's the exact environment how they wanted it, but I just feel like it's done for show. Like, are you proposing in front of people to look good in front of people? Or are you proposing because you really just want to propose to your lady? I'm sure you want to propose to your lady regardless, but I think just the environment, are you doing it to make yourself look like this hero? It's just weird. It rubs me the wrong way. I don't like that. I don't like it. I think that's something as beautiful and it has romantic of a moment. I want that moment to just be cherished between me and you. I don't want anyone else to tell me about that moment. I want myself to tell others, oh my gosh, and you guys, he got on one knee, and it was to the song of Kenny Lattimore. I'm thinking of a random artist, but Kenny Lattimore came to mind. And I want to tell that story to other people. I don't want people telling me that story, right? Like, I don't want you to tell me about my proposal. Like, what the fuck? That's weird. So yeah, that's anyway, that was a side note. But yeah, Cinco is too cool for school, and I don't like niggas like that. So I wonder if he's really gonna step it up. Great, he finally told Trina what it was, but okay, so so what? Because he also said, oh, well, I'm happy for Cash, and, I feel a little awkward stepping in on her and Charlie now that I realize I want Cash. And it's like, okay, but this is Love Island. This is what y'all niggas do, right? Y'all step in and y'all fight for love, and however that looks like, you do so however respectfully as you can. You find a way to do it. So he finds, I feel like with Cinco, he finds an excuse to not do it or to not go hard as he could. And that's what I don't like about niggas like that. Like, just, I don't know. I think sometimes aggression is needed. I remember I would like joke, maybe I wasn't joking, but it was a few episodes ago, a while ago, I would talk about how, oh, if you're not roughing me up, is this love? And I know that's not funny, that's abuse, it's not cool. But the point of what I'm saying is that Bobby and Whitney type love, look, something about, I know, as toxic as it was, as toxic as Bobby Brown and Whitney Houston were, I'm not pro cocaine use, okay? Crack is whack, like Whitney said. Cocaine though. Cocaine though. Like, no, never have used it. But as much as they were toxic and clearly abusive towards each other, because Whitney and both of them, look, I watched that reality show that they had years ago, and that show was, that was very entertaining. But both of them were just like horrible towards each other. But that love though, like, there was, I think honestly, something about abusive relationships and love, and maybe it isn't love, maybe it's disguised as love, right? But there's a passion there that's undeniable. That's what I'm saying. There's a passion in abusive relationships. This sounds so horrible. If there's any little kids listening to this episode, please don't. But ultimately, there is a passion there. That's what I'm saying. Like, when they would kiss, when I would see Bobby Brown and Whitney Houston kiss and just be into each other, like, maybe it was the drugs. Maybe it was that cocaine, that white cheddar, whatever it was. We got something in common. I remember when I watched that music video, and I was like, oh my gosh, they look so happy in love. Like, and I think that's beautiful. if it's not a Bobby and Whitney love, I don't want it. If you're not going to jail 3 times a year, I don't want it. If my wig isn't getting ruffled up, I don't want it. I want that Bobby. It's like, I don't personally want it. But ultimately, there were some elements of their relationship that I did admire. I like the passion that they showed towards each other. It was like this, it's only me and you type of thing. Like, it's us against the world. And ultimately, that is an unhealthy type of love. And for so long, I've always believed that was a healthy way to have a romantic relationship, thinking that, oh, you don't have anyone else and it's only me, and I don't have anyone else and it's only you. And these other relationships, as far as like friendships and just other relationships in my life, family relationships, just friendships, platonic friendships in my life, and even like whoever, they don't matter, and I'm only gonna focus on you. That's actually very unhealthy. But for so long, I thought that was appropriate. I thought that type of love was actually okay. Like, oh, I'm only focused on you, I only want you. That's how it should be, right? Like, I should only want to be with you all times, right? That means you love me, right? That's really how I thought love should have been, and how love should look like in romantic relationships. Like, you should only want me. You should only want me as your lover, as your friend. I should be all these things. You shouldn't have a good time outside of me. And some of these thoughts regarding love and the unhealthy version I thought of it as love still try to surface again right now. And I would notice that to be the case in my relationship. Like, I would think of like when he would be out with whatever little plan he got. I'm gonna no, but like if he's out with his guys or whatever he's doing, and he's having a good time, or I asked him, "Oh, did you have a good time?" or "How was your night?" whatever, and he tells me what how it was, and he had a good time, and it's like, "Oh, you had a good time without me." Oh, you're having fun outside of me? I'm sorry, what? How could you even have fun outside? Like, how does fun even happen outside of Maxine? Huh? Answer that for me. So that's very unhealthy. That's very unhealthy. I do not recommend that type of idea or concept of love. So this is something I'm working through. But something about that Whitney and Bobby time, I don't know. There's something to it. There is the passion that I appreciate. So, maybe you gotta be locked up a few years, but it's like, no. But I still think there's something there. Now, even with, I don't know, I never really idolized Chris Brown and Rihanna. Because I never really found Chris Brown attractive. Personally, I know he's so attracted to a lot of these other women, excuse me. But maybe some guys do. But I never really saw him like that. But Bobby Brown and Whitney, they just had this. I just love Whitney Houston so much. I loved her in her acting roles. I think she's obviously she obviously was so talented. So seeing her, I loved her, and I just loved him separately, and seeing them together, it ignited a new type of love I had for them. So even though they were obviously destructive towards each other, there was still something about their love that maybe it would have worked out if it wasn't for the drugs or whatever it was. I was rooting for them. I was rooting for you. We were all rooting for you. I was really rooting for them. So why did I bring that up? I'm trying to remember. Either way, I think there's an aggression that is sometimes needed in romantic relationships. And when I think about Bobby and Whitney, there was some aggression there, obviously. And I thought, I think of it synonymously to, like, okay, if you're aggressive towards me, you want me, you love me, right? And it's not always the case. I'm really working through these thoughts right now, and I'm realizing how destructive that is, like how that's actually abusive. So it's not okay. It's not okay. So I'm working through that right now, but I'm remembering my past relationship with Leprechaun Bay and how he always wanted to be with me. Okay? When I tell you always, like, he always wanted to physically be with me. Like, it was every moment of every day. Now, I thought that was perfect. Like, oh wow, he wants to be with me every day. He wants me to be with him all day of every day. When I'm telling y'all, I'm not even joking, y'all. He wanted, like, to just lay out with him just every hour by the hour together. And I thought that was okay. I thought that was love. I thought that was actually acceptable and it was appropriate. And that was my first adult relationship. So I assumed it to be the thing you do. You hang out with your man. You spend time with him. And I didn't realize, like, no, yeah, you can hang out with your man, but you want to also foster and nurture your other relationships. So all the times that I was hanging out and spending time with Leprechaun Bay, I was not able to nurture and be intentional with my other relationships in my life, with my family relationships, with my friendships, with my girlfriends. I was not catering to them too and meeting them because I was always meeting Leprechaun Bay. I was always with him. And my dad said something to me when he noticed that. He said what he said to me. He said, you know, I noticed that you always spend a lot of time with him, and I want you to basically not do that anymore because it comes off my dad said desperate. He comes off desperate, and basically he called me desperate. My dad called me a bitch, basically. No, but he did say desperate, and he said how that is, you don't want to be always with your guy. You want to create space. You want there to be some level of separation. And I will always talk to my dad. I'm like, no, Dad, well, he's the one who wants to be with me all the time. It's not because of me. He's the one who like, I would, you know, every time when you're the daughter and your father is telling you to do this and not do that, you want to fight and bicker and think that you know it all, when really I should listen to my dad. Okay, I should have been like, yeah, you're right. But Leprechaun Bay was my first adult relationship, and I was so attached to that relationship because I saw it as my worth. Like, oh wow, this man wants to be with me all the time. This is telling to my worth, to my self-worth. And you know, thank God for growth, because I don't think like that anymore. But I was being played, basically, because I was associating that to my own worth, thinking that that was okay, thinking that that was acceptable, when it actually isn't. It's not okay, and you should create, and not just create, but you should already foster and maintain the relationships that you already have, even while you're in a relationship. And I think when your man, your woman is taking you away all the time, because of course you're going to spend a little bit more time with your significant other than you are with your friends, than you are with your family. I think that's obvious, and that's okay, because at the end of the day, if I had to choose between hanging out with my girlfriends and cuddle up with my man, I'm going to cuddle up with my man. Like, I'm just going to do that. Or maybe I could do both, right? I hang out with my girlfriends from 7 to 9, and the rest of the night I'm with my man. But either way, you are naturally gonna spend a little bit more time with your significant other, and that's okay. But when every time that you are spending it is with your significant other, that is a problem. And that's what, honestly, when I look back at that relationship, I think about, like, there was a lot of manipulative actions that he took against me, and I was not privy to. Because I was growing, but I wasn't as educated and as woke as I am now. So, like, look, if I was single right now and I came across him now, he would have never had any type of date with me. I would have challenged him. I would have said no. You know, I would have been more of the woman that I am now that I could have been then, but I wasn't there yet in my evolvement as a woman. So anyway, I was so vulnerable to that. I was so easy to just be manipulated. I was so easy to just be okay with whatever he wanted. So basically, every time he wanted to be with me, I got in my car and was with him. Even when we did nothing. It's not like he had a beautiful date set up. Not to say hanging out isn't fine, but it wasn't like he had this extravagant date every time we hung out and that motivated me even more. No, it would just be, we're laying out on his couch and we're watching TV, and we're watching Power at the time, because that's when Power was at its height of the season, the first 2 or 3 seasons. But either way, I was in a relationship with someone who was very clingy, and I see it as manipulative because he would get upset when I would finally say, because in like the 5th, 6th hour of us being together, I would say, okay, I'm gonna go home now. Because nigga, it's been 7 hours with me and you. And I'm ready to go away. He would guilt trip me. Leprechaun Bay would guilt trip the fuck out of me and would make me feel bad for leaving every time. I remember because I was living at home, of course, with my parents back home in Boston. So I was still living under my parents' house, you know, my house basically, but like, you know, under my dad's roof. And this is still a Haitian household. I don't care how old you are. I don't care how grown you think you are, how much you contribute to the house, or, you know, how many degrees you have tucked up. You are still the daughter of Haitian parents. You still got to get home at a specific time. Not even a specific time, but at a not too late of a time. Like staying out as far as like sleeping out in other niggas' house, you know, just spending the night outside of the house. That's not happening. I don't care you're 25. I don't care you graduate from college. I don't care you are in your career and you're an adult. You are still living in your Haitian household, and your dad is still able and like he's still alive, thank God. Maybe it's different if you only have a Haitian mother in the household. Maybe it's different, but for me, in my experience, having a Haitian father and a Haitian mother, having the conjunction of both, it is more of a mandate to not sleep outside of the house. Like, what are we doing? Are you a hoe? That's basically the perception that is being displayed if you do so. Even though they knew I was in this relationship with this guy, it was still a Christian household as well. So my parents were not even allowing the thought of me sleep. It doesn't matter. Yeah, he's my boyfriend. It doesn't matter. Like, is he your husband? Okay, you're still in the house, right? Okay, so he's not your husband. You don't have a ring. You're not his wife. Get back home. So anyway, I remember Leprechaun Bay had a party at his house. Oh my God, I hated this nigga. I think about this. I don't think about it all the time, but I'm thinking about like when I was with him, there was so many things I hated about him, and I stayed with him. Maybe I played a stink up. Maybe I was the coward. Look at me. I'm talking all this shit about these people, and I'm the coward. No, but I think I was definitely not as evolved as I am now, and I don't want to shoot myself down, my previous self down, but I wasn't as evolved as I am now, basically. So I was definitely cowardly in some ways. Like, I was too afraid to speak up for myself and walk out of this relationship on my own accord. The relationship ended because he ended it, and had he not ended it, it probably would have still went on a little bit longer than it should have. So I'm grateful that he ended it, but I was obviously not grateful at that time because I was hurt or whatever. But it only took me 2 weeks and I got over him, and that's very telling. If it takes you 2 weeks to get over somebody, especially a relationship that you was in for a year, maybe a year is not long enough for some people, but a year was long enough for me. That's really telling. Like, if it takes you 2 weeks to get over somebody, you wasn't really into them. That's just me, but maybe whatever. Anyway, Leprechaun Bay he would always have these parties at his house, always these like shindigs. He was a Leo. He is a Leo. And I think Leo niggas are just like, they need to go to hell right now. Basically, that should be the title of this episode. Leos need to go to hell right now. I know, let me not go too deep. I don't know who's this. But, yeah, Leo man needs to go to hell. That's the end. Then, anyway, so Leprechaun Bay, he's a Leo. And I noticed though with him, I attribute it to it being a Leo trait, because when I looked up Leo characteristics, it said a lot about wanting to be the center of attention, being very dominant, egotistical, all these things. But this is other Leo guy I know who is totally not that. So maybe there's different versions, and maybe it's also in effect of rising sign and moon signs and all that. But anyway, Leprechaun Bay was a Leo regardless. Is Leo. And he would have these shindigs, these parties at his house. He would always have people over. Everybody was his close friend. He would always have these these girls will come over the house. And because Leprechaun Bay was always, basically he was more single than he was, or he would still act like he's single even when he was in a relationship. He was a serial relationship guy, but he still was single, really, because he didn't take his relationship seriously, including ours. Anyway, he would have these parties, and I would be at the party before the party started. So I would be at the beginning of preparing for the party, of going to the shops and picking up stuff and decorating the house and all these things, right? I will be at the part when the first few people will start to show up and greeting people and saying hello and making small talk and he and okay, now there's more people coming in and oh, okay, it's getting packed and there's a lot of people here and I mean make my rounds and help host and, just be present and all these things. I will still be there when people are leaving, not being escorted out, but leaving the party and going home and driving off from the garage, from the driveway, and I will be there cleaning up. And now there's like 3 or 4 people left and we're just talking shit by the grill and by the fire, and I would be there all the way to the end. So let's say I was there from 6 a.m. because there's been times when I was over his house from early in the day, from 6 a.m. until 11. Let's say that 11 p.m. y'all. And mind you, no break in between. There's no shifts difference, right? I'm not taking a break between shifts. No. I will be with him throughout 6 a.m. till 11 p.m. Throughout. I didn't go home real quick. No. I was with him throughout the day. Yo, even thinking about that right now, how exhausting. And I think also, it could also just been him as well. Like, maybe, I don't know. I think it was just, anyway, but whatever. I was with him from 6 a.m. to 11 p.m. Okay. And so everyone's leaving. We're wrapping up. I say to him, okay, well, I'm going to go ahead and go. Look, I'm going to go ahead and go home now. Let's go home. I'm going to go home now because my home is not here. This is not my home. This is your home. And I'm going home now. He would say, really? You got to go home now? Like, why? Why you got to go home? Like, he would really get upset, y'all. Like, really get upset. Upset to the point where he would get quiet. He would look afar. He would just guilt trip me, basically. He would look so stunned, as if going home, leaving him is unfathomable. And he would say, can you just wait another hour? Can you just stay here a little bit longer? I'm okay, let me stay a little bit. Let me stay 45 minutes. Okay, 45 minutes come. I would say, okay, I'm going to go now. Can you stay a little bit longer? Nigga, it's 11:45. Hello? It's 11:40. I gotta go. Like, and so to some people, I noticed with my Black American friends, back then at least, they would say like, okay, 11:45, that's too late. Is that considered too late? Like, why is that considered too late to come home? It is for me. It was for me at that time in my life. Okay, so coming home at 11:45, more so 12. When it hit that midnight mark, when it's literally going into the next day, it's not okay. My dad's not having it. Like, I don't care. I don't care you're 25. I don't care you have your bachelor's degree and you're about to get your master's degree at this point in your life. And I don't care. You're not coming into my house at midnight. You're not going to walk in at 12:30. You're not going to walk in at 1 a.m. And I had a lot of moments when I walked in late and I had to face my dad being upset with me about it, but I felt so attached to that relationship that I didn't speak up for myself enough and didn't stand my ground enough, that I was now causing rifts in my home, in my parental home, because of this leprechaun nigga. You know, so basically with Leprechaun Bay, he was very manipulative in his ways by disguising it as, oh, I just want to spend time with you. I just want to be with you. I just want to spend time. When you think about it, initially it sounds cute. Like, okay, you just want to spend time with me. Oh, you know, of course you want your man to want to spend time with you. But I need to have a life outside of you as well, right? Like, I also want to talk to my cousins, right? I also want to talk to my parents and hang out with them. Like, I also want to be with other people. But I realized with Leprechaun Babe, it really comes from a place of insecurity. And ultimately, that's where a lot of things come from, a place of insecurity. And with him, I think me leaving, it ruffled up places of, or sores of insecurity in him that made him feel like, oh, she's leaving me in a way, or she doesn't want me. When is she coming back? And he never said these things, but years later, and learning more about just psychology and just human behavior and the reasons why we do things, I really chalk it up to, oh, this nigga was really insecure. He was really insecure. So it definitely was manipulative, but it came from a place of insecurity. Now, who knows, he will ever, you know, cough up to that. But regardless, I haven't spoken to that nigga in years. But insecurity. So ultimately, if a nigga wants, if it's 11 p.m. and he's not letting you go home, okay? And ultimately, it really comes to the point of being more evolved in your womanhood as a woman, even as men too. Like, you should be able to be in a relationship with someone and not be afraid to speak up, right? Not be afraid to speak up about anything, about your emotions, about your opinion on something, about an action that happened that rubbed you the wrong way, about anything. There should be more room and comfort to do so. And if at any point you feel uncomfortable to do so, sit with yourself and check with yourself. Like, is it because that person is making you feel uncomfortable, or are you just not comfortable within yourself yet to be as straightforward yet? Like, have you evolved in your identity? Have you evolved in your mindset, in your personal skill set? Because if you haven't, you're going to continue to be in a relationship with someone and not be able to be your full self. And I always say, you know, we need to be in relationships with people and be our whole selves and be our complete selves and be heard and be listened to and be accepted and to be loved and to be seen for our whole selves. So going back to Love Island, I think I'm glad that Cash has options now, and she is hot shit, nigga. She's hot shit. So ultimately, I think what sucks though, I feel like, okay, cool, Cinco realizes that he want Cash, and Cash has options. Charlie may be the right fit for her. Seemingly, he's like the good guy, right? He knew what he wanted from the beginning, and he's focused on her. He didn't string her along. But you have Cash, you have Cinco, who was Cash's first choice initially, and she wanted it to work out with him initially, but it didn't work out. And now the opportunity for it to work out again has now presented itself. But you think about, like, is it something that you should even explore anymore? Because he should have chose me from the beginning, and now he wants to suddenly choose me, and what makes him deserving of me, and all these things. And these are accurate and valid feelings. I just wonder, is this a case of the ex? Is this a case of the ex? Are you just Are you just wanting me now that I am with someone new? And somehow I seem more attractive to you now that I'm not readily available to you anymore. You know how you're with a new guy, a new person, and then suddenly all the exes in the world, it could be someone else's ex, and they hit you up like, hey, what's up? Like, nigga, what? All the exes in the world want you. Huh? And I just don't know where that comes from, but there's an energy in the room that shifts. It shifts. And you sit with yourself thinking, well, is this genuine? I wanted you then, but you didn't want me. And now that I'm happy with a man who wanted me from the get-go, who wanted me from the beginning and still wants me and shows intentions, i.e. Charlie, now you want me, Cinco? Like, how true is that? And how committed are you to that? So it's just a lot. I don't know who I want Cash to be with. Ultimately, initially I said Charlie. But there are some things in Charlie I want to see more of. I want him to be a little bit more, just aggressive, but just a little bit. Like, I want him to be a little bit more romantic. I want him to be more intimate with her, just as far as like affection goes. I think he's not as affectionate as he could be. Like, I want him to show up a little bit more, however that looks like to him, because we all have our own love language. So however he expresses love, I want to see that more. I don't see that enough. So hopefully, or maybe the edits are not showing it enough, but either way, I want to see that from him. And as far as with Cinco, he has always just been too cool of a nigga. So I wonder, what does him stepping up and showing Cash that he really wants her, what does that look like? So I just want to see how these niggas fight. Not physically, of course, but how they gonna fight for this woman, and who do you really want to be with? I don't know. Will and Kyra, though, or Kira, that's her name. However you say it, it's spelled Kyra. Child, it's the ghetto for them. I think they don't have any depth to them. I think as much as Kyra would say, or Kira would say, oh, we talk about everything and we always talk, and whatever Will says to you guys, he says to me. First of all, Will's accent, it was cute from the beginning for 2 days. Okay? I can't stand I don't know. Maybe I'm, xenophobic? I don't like accents like that. I don't like accents outside of the accents that I already know, as far as Haitian accents. even some of that is annoying. Like, can you just stay with the English tone? I don't fucking, it's also racist. No, but seriously, I don't like a British accent. Oh my God, this is a British person I know. When she speaks so damn fast. I'm just like, what? And I don't know if it's an accent or just her level of speech. It's just too much. Or maybe it's a combination of both. Regardless, stop talking. Okay? Will, who's from Colombia, who sounds like he's like French, though, his accent is too much too. Like, at this point, it's cute the first 2 days. Ooh, it's sexy the first 2 days. But week 5, I can't understand you still. Enunciate your words, Will. Enunciate your words. I can't understand you. I don't think it's cute. It's some things he don't understand. He doesn't get some of these idiosyncrasies that you would say in different American language, in English. And you gotta explain it to. I can't be with someone who I gotta teach a language to. Like, I'm sorry. I'm not to say he doesn't speak English. He does, obviously, but you could tell his English isn't strong. His accent is stronger, and I don't like it. Okay, and I feel like with Kira, she is so attracted to him, and his accent increases the attraction that she has for him. So I think it's all superficial. I think if it wasn't for his accent, maybe she wouldn't be like, I think it helps with the attraction. So I wonder if it wasn't for his accent, would they be as intimate as they are? Would they still be as intimate as they are? Because my goodness, every second they're kissing, they're rubbing up on each other, they're sitting super close to each other. She's looking at his lips while he's trying to have a conversation with her, talking about how he kisses this other girl. It's like, bitch, can you back up and listen to this nigga? I don't know. I'm not impressed. The accent's cute the first 2 days, but I could not be with a British guy. A Colombian guy, no. Can you, okay, tighten it up, nigga. Tighten it up. Or, you know how these British actors will somehow not be British when they're playing a role? That accent just goes away. I would want that same energy. Like, no, if I'm going to be with a British guy, a Colombian guy, whatever, your accent is super thick, turn it off. Okay, you can turn it off now. Turn off the light now, nigga. Turn it off. Okay? So that is what I think about them. So just as much as I think Will and Kyra lack depth, I think the same thing for Cinco and Trina. They lack a genuine connection. They look good together, right? They have this look that is aesthetically pleasing. Same with Will and Kira, but they don't have anything else. And I think when I saw Cinco and Cash from the beginning, they had more of a connection. You could see more of a vibe there. There was more of a dynamic. As with Cinco and Trina, there was not, like, I didn't really see him laugh when he was with her. They would say these, like, oh, you looking good. You know how niggas would just be talking, not really be saying shit? Like, I remember being 16, 17, and just the way niggas will holler, it would just be so textbooky. Like, okay. Oh, I remember, like, eating ice cream after getting it from the corner store. And I'm eating it as I'm walking home. Niggas would be on the block. They would be like, ooh, can I get some, you know, oh, you gonna lick the ice cream like that? Or can I get a lick? They would just like stupid shit. Like, okay, that would be the conversation that Cinco and Trina would have. Basically, like, they would just talk in these, like, these isolated moments, these 16, 17 high school moments. Like, can we have a real conversation? What are we doing? So they don't have that. There's no humor between them. There's nothing. There's nothing. So I'm happy Cinco finally ended it with Trina. You know, he finally let the cowardliness go. And I'm hoping Will do the same. Let's wrap up and just talk about this one topic here. Selling your soul. Yeah, this is a transition. This is definitely a transition. I've been watching a lot of these, like, Illuminati videos, basically. And I used to watch them a lot when I was in undergrad. Me and my group of friends at the time, we would just be on YouTube journeys watching different Illuminati videos. There was these videos that would point out how Beyonce was showing Illuminati signs back then in the video phone music video and previous videos too throughout her solo career. And that was really a bonding point between me and my friends at the time in undergrad. But eventually you grow out of it. You just like, okay, well, I'm still listening to her songs. Like, it's still good though. a telephone, right? I'm still listening to that song. But regardless, we were still kind of privy to it. Whether we didn't believe it or did believe it, it was still something that we was so in awe of. Now I'm finding my way back to these types of videos on YouTube. I've been following this account on YouTube, and he doesn't necessarily say Illuminati, but he'll just say secret society and how many artists in particular, and he'll call out these artists and point out different symbolisms and different gestures and words said that would definitely display them selling their soul or signing off to the enemy, to the devil. And there is a trend throughout his videos. He would say basically when they would get big and finally pop as artists, as singers, as celebrities, whatever, there would be some major thing that happened. So there would be a death, there would be a loss of life that would happen. And that loss of life is a bloodshed. It is literally a bloodshed, and it is a bloodshed that allows for trust to be had, because okay, you sacrifice, or you allow this person to be sacrificed in exchange for this selling of your soul, in this trust that I want to experience with you as the devil. And now that you have done this, you are now signed into this life. You sign the oath with blood, and it is permanent, or at least, until you decide, not even decide, because ultimately what I'm seeing is that when these people would sign their oath with the enemy, they would somehow die. And they would die after realizing that they made a mistake, that they should have never sold their soul, and now they regret it, and they're trying to call out the industry, and they're trying to break the oath. And it's just very interesting, because it's kind of creepy, because you think about all the evidence that he's pointing out, and it's literally hidden in plain sight. There's a lot of clips that he would use, and it would show these celebrities and these singers and whomever. They would say, oh, I sold my soul to the devil. Oh, well, I basically had to sell my soul to the devil. Well, I popped off because I sold my soul to the devil. Like, they would literally say those words, I sold my soul to the devil. And so when they said these things, it was like, ha ha ha, like people would laugh in the audience. Like if they're in an interview at the Jimmy Fallon show or whatever night show, the audience would laugh. No one would really pay attention to that actual statement said, but it was a frequent statement that is said. And this YouTuber, he pointed out just the trajectory of this said artist, this said celebrity, and how since they said those words and made a declaration of that, their career has changed effectively. It has been more powerful. It has been more of a uphill celebrity career. And I'm thinking to myself, like, okay, why is that? Why are so many people, and it's not just celebrities, it's politicians, it's corporate workers, it could be anyone who just wants more of whatever it is. I want more power, I want more love, I want more this, whatever it is. You could be offered a deal, go to a room, a business. No, but I think there's ways that the devil could entice you and engage you. And ultimately, if you are that willing and that desperate, really, to sell your soul, it makes me wonder, what is being offered instead? What is the counter argument? And I'm saying this as gently as I can because, look, I believe in God. I serve God. I love God. I worship God. I don't worship the devil, none of that. But I think about, where's God? As far as okay, when these celebrities, for example, when these celebrities are being approached by the devil and being enticed to sell their soul to him in exchange for luxury, in exchange for comfort, stability, material possessions, power, gain, access, exposure, all these things, I think about, okay, what is God's offer? What is God offering here? God, don't strike me. But seriously, what is the counter offer? What are the two things I'm considering? And I'm writing this down. As I'm writing these down from when I was creating the draft for this episode, I wrote down, like, okay, the devil, he offers false ideas of happiness, right? People think, oh, well, if I live in this fancy home, if I drive this fancy car, if I live this fancy lifestyle, then I will be happy. Now, that is not always the case, because you find a lot of times that these wealthy people, these filthy rich people, are the ones committing suicide, are the ones super miserable and depressed and just so sad. And their riches, their fame did not result into them being happy, into them being at peace. So I think about, okay, God is offering the counter offer that God is presenting here. Instead of the luxury, instead of the comfort and stability and material possessions and wealth and all these things, God is offering the intangible. So he's offering hope, peace, love, and the fruits of the Holy Spirit, which is great, right? Like, yes, you want to feel at peace. You want to feel joy. You want to feel happiness. You want to feel these feelings. You want love, and all these things are great. But then I think to myself, why can't I have both? Why can't both of those things exist? For so long in my childhood and my upbringing in Christianity, I was convinced to believe that God wants me to be poor. God wants me to be impoverished, to not have too much, to not be greedy, to not want for more, to just be happy with what I have and don't even want any more than what you have. Don't even dare to ask for more. More is being greedy when it's not. I just want more. I just want more money. Huh? I want more opportunities to vacation more. I want more income than debt. I want more, right? But there is this idea, and I think it's really embedded into Christianity, that the poorer you are, the more humble you are, the better God is pleased with you, because you are not worshiping your material possessions. You are instead able to focus on God. And there is maybe a tinge bit of truth to that, because sometimes you may find yourself worshiping the material goods that you do have instead of worshiping God, the source who gave you that, rather than the outcome of that source. You're worshiping the outcomes and not the actual source, right? So maybe there is some truth to that, but I don't want to be poor, right? I want to be rich and have peace. I want to be rich and have hope. I want to be rich and have love. It shouldn't be either or. And I'm seeing that it feels like it's either or. It feels like either you live paycheck to paycheck and okay, you have love in your life, or you sell your soul to the devil, you live a life of luxury, and you may not be at peace. You may have suicidal ideations. Like, what the fuck? It feels like it's either one or the other. And I think about the many people who have sold their souls to the devil, and I wonder about their upbringings. Like, man, many of them came from impoverished backgrounds and may not even fathom that they could even live beyond this, that they could even live a life that has more of money, more of power, more of stability, more luxury. They couldn't even fathom that. And to have a talent, to have a gift, to have a skill that could bring you to a point of success, and now you're confronted with an opportunity, because it seems like an opportunity, right? Someone is presenting to you, hey, look, if you just worship me instead, if you just show your allegiance to me, right, to the devil, if you just worship the devil, if you just show your allegiance to the devil, then you're going to have everything at your fingertips. Everything at your fingertips. And it reminds me of that instance in the Bible when Jesus was being tempted by the devil, when Jesus was fasting for 40 days. And the devil approached him and was like, look, just give up. Give me your soul. Give me your hand. You could turn it all around. I'll give you water for your thirst. I'm obviously paraphrasing. This is not, look, I'm a paraphrase. But basically, this is the give and take of that story. And the devil presented like, you could have the world at your fingertips. You can have it right now if you just give me you. If you just give it up to me. If you just take my hand and I'll take you out of this struggle of fasting, out of this struggle of thirsting for water, thirsting for liquid, for some consumption, And though it was tempting, maybe Jesus was tempted for a moment, but he obviously, denied it, and he's the Son of God and all these great things. But look, not everyone is Jesus. And I'm saying this to say, I can understand how someone, I'm not here advocating for it, don't sell your soul to the devil, but it says a lot of the world that we live in, that many people are willing to sell their soul to the devil because of the impoverished communities that many people come from, because of the lack of opportunities that many people have, because of the lack of exposure that people have. People are willing to sell their soul to the devil because of how the world is so fucked up. In Christianity, we like to say, God has the victory. The battle has already been won. The devil is a liar. He acts like he owns you, that he has you, and then he has you in your grips and all these things. And it's really being gaslit because the devil lost. God won. He won because Jesus has risen. He's alive. He's a living God. And that shows that victory is God's. It's not the devil. But it's so hard to see that in every day, because in every day you walk outside, no matter where you are, even if you live in a rich environment, a rich neighborhood, you turn on the news, you see a lot of destruction. You see fires out, literal fires, figurative fires, and you just see that this world is just not always a happy place, and it's not a happy place for a lot of people. So I think about, okay, that's the reason why people sell their souls. That's the reason why, because God doesn't seem like he's here, right? They say that the world here on earth is the devil's playground. It is his courthouse. It is his home court. Even though God has a victory in all these things, the devil has his reigns here on earth. And yes, we have free will, but do we? Is it more determination? What is it? Determination or determinism? Yes. Is it more determinism than it is free will? Who knows? Because a lot of things are not as free as you would like for it to be, right? Like, opportunities aren't always free. Exposure isn't always free. Mobility isn't always free. There's a cost to it. There's a price to it. And there are people who are not as hopeful, or, they work hard every day. They don't see the labor and the fruits of their labor. So selling your soul in exchange for whatever it is that you want sounds very enticing. It sounds very enticing because, sure, yes, what God brings is more of the intangible, but right now I need more money. So I'll handle the hope and peace and power and love and joy, the fruits of the Holy Spirit. Okay, I'll deal with that later. Give me money. Give me money right now. Let me have more money. Let me have more sources of money right now, so I could pay off this debt, so I could buy this car, so I could buy this house, so so let me handle what I need to handle right now. So go ahead and let me sign the dotted line so I could get there. And it's not about the shortcut, because I think sometimes there's this idea of, well, they took the shortcut. They don't want to work hard. And if you just work hard, you'll get whatever you want. If you just work hard. Okay. A lot of people work hard and are not further along as they would have hoped. And it sucks. Right? So I think about, damn, there are a lot of people who sold their souls. I can't even be mad at them, because you have to look at what their life was for so many years prior to this given opportunity. Were they given opportunities to climb that social ladder? Were they given opportunities? No. Or were opportunities available to them to take advantage of? No. Now you have the devil coming up. Hey, look, I have this for you. All you gotta do is give me your soul. Again, I'm not advocating for it. This is God built this podcast, right? But I just want us to have these conversations. I think about, like, shit's not easy sometimes. It's really not easy. And, I'm grateful for God. Yes, I'm grateful for God. I'm grateful for the hope that he gives me and the internal drive and the fruits of the Holy Spirit. But I want more, right? I want a little bit. I'm not saying I want the devil to knock on my door. Let me pray this off after I end this recording. But I think ultimately there's this idea, like I said, that if you're a Christian, then you have to be poor. And that really shows your devotion to God. And I'm seeing a little bit more now of Christian women who are in the social media field for their careers, and I'm not necessarily interested in that field, but I see them professing and displaying this love that they still have for God, and you see their life is extravagant. They have luxury, they have brand names, and they could afford those things. So many times I would say, like, oh, I don't care about material things. I don't care that I have the latest Louis, blah, blah, blah. I say that because I can't afford it. That's why I say that, because it's not something that's in my budget. I could make it in my budget as far as, like, saving up for it. But ultimately, if you got to save up for something for longer than 6 months, maybe you shouldn't. Like, maybe it's not something you really should have. Like, maybe it's not really a necessity. Maybe you could save up that same amount of money and put it towards debt, put it towards X, Y, and Z, or put it towards something that's a little bit more worth it. Because ultimately, I'm still not a materialistic person, because it's like, okay, well, I'd rather put this money that I'm saving up for a Chloe bag or a Gucci bag or Gucci belt for a vacation, for paying off my car. So I think those things matter, but I also see it like, why can't I do both, right? Like, why can't I also save up money to pay off this debt and buy this Gucci belt and go on vacation and still, have everything paid on time, all these things? Like, why does it have to be an either or? So I'm seeing a lot of Christian women who are online who have these social media careers, and they are basically rich. They're fucking rich. And I'm like, okay, I guess there are some examples of being Christian and having a life of luxury. I guess this is a lie from hell, thinking that you only have to be poor, you only have to be within this financial bracket in order to be pleasing to God. I'm just putting that out there. I'm not saying sell your soul to the devil. I'm not saying that at all. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying, cocaine is good because you want to have that Whitney Bobby type of love. I'm not saying any of that. I'm just saying it looks a little enticing. It looks a little enticing, okay? It's a little enticing. Goodbye. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of God Built This Podcast with your host, Maxine. Be sure to leave a review, give me 5 stars, and of course, subscribe. Also, follow God Built This Podcast on Instagram at God Built This Pod. God bless.